Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today here in the Strength Studio. Today on the Spotlight series, I have another incredible interview. I'm super excited to be doing this one today. This one's special. I'll just say that. We have an incredible guest today. And again, most of the time or all of the time that we've done these, interviews, we've talked to a lot of maybe one-sided entrepreneurs. Well, today we're going to be talking to Lauren Busch, and she has seen both sides of it, right? She's been in corporate and environment, as well as an advocate herself, entrepreneur herself. And so this is going to be a phenomenal insight into so many different things that I think that we get a peek behind the curtain a little bit, right? It's some information and some ideas and so I just really hope that today, really sit down as you watch this interview, take some notes, right? Gather some great information. She has input at number one. So I'm telling you, she's going to bring some great data here, some great information to you. So thank you again so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching this recording. And Lauren, thank you for being here. I mean, it is, you're an incredibly busy woman. I mean, with all the things you're doing in your work, private life, clinic, supporting your husband as an entrepreneur, so many great things you do. Tell us, before I give everybody the details, I want to share from your perspective. Tell everybody about all the hats you wear, right? What are all the different things that you do? What are all the different the hats you wear, the things you're involved with, and then tell us a little bit how that doing those things, how your journey has been shaped, and where you're currently going based on all of these roles and all these different influences that you have going on around you.
Oh, what amazing opportunity. Okay. So hats. Well, my favorite hat, my number one hat will always be mom. So I'm mom of nine and we age span from 5 years old to 20 years old. So that alone is multiple hats raising adult children,
Hmm.
teenage children. Like it's quite an amazing wild ride. Have to shift the mindset every time that you're interacting with a different child and where they're at, where their needs
Sure.
are, where they're at on their journey. So that's always will be number one. I'm married to my best friend in the entire world. So my husband is a huge priority in my life and a focus. And so I wear the hat of being a good partner in life and spouse. I have a corporate job. I'm the director of product education at doTERRA. And I love that. I love the interactions I get. I get to interact with a lot of entrepreneurs. I am inspired by them. I learn from them. They fill up my cup with all of our interactions. I run an online telehealth clinic. And like you mentioned earlier, I get to be the cheerleader for my best friend in life and cheer him on in his own journey. So I get to wear a lot of hats. I'd have to say, like in this point in life, the really good friend hat is probably not being worn because my priority is my family and the
Sure.
amount of bandwidth to go out. But one day I will pop the good friend hat back on and I'll have more of a social life and interact with the people that have been there for a very long time.
I love it. I love it. Now, with all of that being said, how does that influence and shape the way you live your life, day in, day out? With all the different things that you're involved with and with all the different things. I love you talked about marrying your best friend, right? Number one role is being a mom. And how do all of these different hats that you do wear, whether being, a spouse or an entrepreneur, working in, in the clinic, corporate doTERRA, how do all of these different things shape the way you live day in and day out?
I'm a huge believer that every single experience bleeds into every aspect of your life. So I love being able to wear so many different hats because it gives me bigger perspective. It allows me to be able to put myself in other people's shoes as they're sharing their journey. I'm like, oh, I have something in common, or at least I have a perspective that helps me to better understand what is being shared with me on that person's journey. I
Yeah.
love applying the different things I'm learning. There's things I learn in parenthood that when I get into clinic and I work with a lot of women. So I end up working with a lot of moms and I'm able to share my motherhood experience with this woman and share and say, hey, hopefully this helps you. I learn things in clinic that I'm like, oh wow, okay, I'm learning something new about the body, about health, about functional medicine, and now I get to apply it in motherhood, or I get to put it into the materials that I help create for the advocates at doTERRA. So there's all these things that as we learn, there's huge downloads that happen at nighttime when my husband and I crawl in bed and then we're like, did you know this, did you know this, oh my gosh, what about this, and then we're like, wait, That too. Okay, so now put these two things together, and they weave together, and so I definitely think that as we wear more hats, we are required to prioritize
Yes.
what's most important in the day and make sure those points are hit first. But then also, I love those moments from like, wow, if I didn't just have this experience with my child
Mm,
when I met with this patient, I wouldn't have had this context to be like,
yeah.
yep, know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, let's get into that, So it definitely helps, and it's a fun adventure.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love that, again, in our pre-interview, you kind of talked a lot about this as well, as how much all of those different things, influence everything that you do. And that's incredible that you can take in so much. And again, that probably has a lot to do with your input. You can take in so much, but also because of that, you have so much to offer, so much to give. And I think that that's incredible. That's admirable. When we look at, I think life, where so many people are so focused on trying to get stuff off their plate, but you live in such a place of inspiration and drive, and the things that are on your plate drive you and motivate you, that they give you more. And we talked about bandwidth, but they give you more bandwidth to have a higher output, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Now, inside of, again, being the at one point an advocate, being in the corporate side of doTERRA, how do you think that everything that you do experience, how does this shape your personal mission? And then also, how does this shape the mission that I guess, the way you want to impact the company on the corporate end?
I think that anything in life, I mean, you're asking specific to this role, but I think this goes out into other areas as well. I think anything in life, we have our own experiences, and that shapes our perspective.
Mm,
Right. So I think in a wellness advocate role, I think that we have interactions with corporate employees, with our owners, our founders. We're so lucky to have an amazing company where they are so present and they love to show up as often as possible,
mhm.
as much as time permits, right? We have this, and so we have this perspective that it is a little limited, knowing as I was an advocate. Here's what I think. I'm running my business, so this is how you could be running your business over here as a
Right,
corporate entity, right?
right, right.
Then I think corporate employees, a lot of our employees, our advocates will know, have been there for a very long time. They
Mm,
love our company, they love our advocates. And so 15, 16, 17 years later, they're like, I know what an advocate does, but you've
right.
never walked their shoes,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, it's still a perspective. You think because you're watching. If you haven't walked it, you don't truly know. Like it hasn't impacted your life in that way. As an advocate, you are a business owner, but it's a perspective of what it's like to run a multi-billion-dollar company,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And so we're limited by our experiences to what our perspective is that the other one must be doing or should be doing. And we're still in our own little bubble. Like doTERRA is an international company. So the thought processes have to be, does this work on an international scale? Does this work for the cultures that we're going to impact? Does this work for the markets we're going to impact? And us as advocates, even if we have team members that are around the world, we still are limited by our perspective of the world that we live in, of the communities that we're in, right? So I think one of the greatest blessings has been being able to see on both sides. I can tell you, as an advocate, when I came to corporate, I was like, there are so many things we are going to fix. I have to, I'm going to do this. You just don't know. And then I get there and I'm like, oh no, I just did not know. And so I just get, everybody's got to give each other a little grace. What I hear conversations, I know there's so many corporate employees that like, I want to do the best thing for advocates and this is what we should do. And my head tilts a little bit and I'm like, maybe not. And then I hear advocates, this is what corporates are doing. And I'm like, maybe, but also maybe not. So if everybody learns to give each other grace, realize that we are limited in our perspective by our own experiences.
Mm,
My goal is to bridge the gap and to encourage each other, to give each other a little bit of grace, that we're at the place of best intentions, limited by personal experience, and how does that apply, and to know that the human element is a beautiful gift, to
yeah.
get less frustrated with the fact that we don't all think the same, that we don't all have the exact same maybe perfect vision of outcomes for scenarios, because we're receiving a different amount of input. And so that for my mission, it is to make sure that the advocates have all of the resources that they're constantly having to look elsewhere for
Mm,
found in corporate because of I've walked the path of an advocate, but also knowing as a corporate employee, everything that gets created, we have millions of advocates to think of. And so you as an individual advocate, it might not be the most perfect fit for you, but I want everything to show up in a way that you can mold it to be perfect for you. But it needs to be that easily moldable for millions of advocates,
yeah,
right?
right. Duplicatable. And
Yes.
gosh, Lauren, if we don't get anywhere else in our interview today, I think what you just shared is such an amazing perspective that so many other people don't get to see. And thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that, right, we all have those, we do, right? We have these ideas, these belief systems, these foundational principles that we may call them, and because we're on one side of the fence, that we want to say the other side should be doing this as well, or they should do that, they should do this, and because we see it from our own perspective, like you said, and being on both sides and being able to identify, oh wow, this, or bring this to the table, or identify these things. What an incredible, again, perspective or opportunity I think that you have to be able to experience that on both sides. And then again, turn around and create great things for the people that are out there, doing as entrepreneurs, building this, and then also communicating back to the company, hey, I think that this is where, from my own experience, right, this is where they might be struggling, or this is what they need.
Yes.
What a wonderful blessing. What a great opportunity. How incredible.
Yeah, I love it. I love it every single day.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Now, with so many people, coming in, and you see all these different things, and, doTERRA's been around for a while now. And so it's gone through its own trends. When you look at someone today, right, today, that is making someone successful, I mean, what might have, happened years ago, a decade ago, might be a little bit different, but today, in today's market, the things that we have that we're facing today, if someone is starting out today and really wants to go big, what do you think is one of the key components that is going to make the biggest difference in their success?
Oh, I actually have three things, if that's
Ooh, I
okay.
love it. Yeah, give us all three then. Yes.
Okay. So I think there's three things that I see amongst those who are entrepreneurs and who are successful, especially when it comes to doTERRA. But I think that this really applies um, for anybody who's out there trying to create something or run something on their own. So
Yeah.
first for me would be vision. You have to know where you want to go and where that company that you're partnering with is going, and you have to be able to see something bigger than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're able to connect to that vision of what you're wanting for yourself, what you're wanting to create in your own business, and that the company has a vision that aligns with that, then second is commitment, because this journey is messy. It is. Entrepreneurship is a messy journey. It's not, I don't care for when people like try to paint it all like sunshine and roses. It's a job. It is a job. And whether
Yes.
it's a corporate job or you own your own business, it is a job, which means there is hard work to do. There
Yeah.
are going to be bumps. So you have to have that upfront commitment to
Yeah.
say, I know that the bumps are going to come. I have this vision. I'm going to commit to get through even the hard times.
Mm-hmm.
And then last is consistency. And I think that this is the place where most of the time we lose people is when we show up on and off, in especially in a business that is so personal. I mean, so I actually came from the healthcare system as a medical ICU nurse, and I don't know a business model that is more personal than getting to people's healthcare.
Right.
When you talk about health, when you talk about wellness, people are sharing their like some of their deepest vulnerabilities with you because it's their body. It's what's going on. It is scary for them sometimes. It's embarrassing for them. It is happening to their child who they love so much. Like it is deeply personal. And
Yeah.
so, people, when you're in that business and in this business model, you are talking to people about health.
Yeah.
They need to know you're going to keep showing up. So, if it's like, this week I'll teach a class or I'll do something online, and then it's another 6 weeks before they see you, that connection is not going to be there,
Mm.
because I need to know that when I have something wrong and you promise me you're going to be there, you're going to keep being there.
Yeah.
And I need to know that I can ask you questions, because if you're telling me I can do this, and that if I just have the right knowledge, I can be this wellness provider for my family. I need to know that until I feel confident, I can come back and be like, is this the right thing? Are these the right oils to use? Are these the right supplement, routine that I should be on? People need to know that, and they need to know that you're not coming and going, and that you're just as committed to that as you are to them. And so I think if you don't have the all three of those together, I think that's where it falls apart. I love seeing we have advocates that have been with us since day one, and they haven't maybe reached what most would consider a substantial leadership rank, but
Right.
they've gone nowhere. They've maintained the vision, they've
Right.
maintained the commitment, but sometimes it's the consistency that it's like, oh, I mean, I had to teach more than one class. I had to keep answering questions. And I'm like, that was the piece that was missing for you. And then I watch others that there's, I mean, massive vision, and they were consistently showing up. And then things got hard. And they're like, well,
Yes.
this is not what I was promised. And I'm like, I'm so sorry somebody promised you something that was not realistic, because
Right.
life can be bumpy,
Yeah.
and bumpy things are going to happen. It's just, it is the human element. I'm going to keep saying that. It is the
Sure.
human element. It is unpredictable.
Yes.
People have different needs. Things show up in life. You're like, who had that on their bingo card? I did not know that that's what was going to be happening in my life right now. And you have to be willing. And I'm still committed. I'm gonna work through this. I'm gonna figure it out. So I think, yeah, it has to take all three.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. I don't think that there's a single book that I've ever read on entrepreneurism or success, that sort of thing, and entrepreneur psychology and vision doesn't come into play, right? It's so important. And then you bring up the thing, the commit, and I love that, because if you so Benjamin Hardy, who teamed up with Dan Sullivan, he owns a strategic coach, number one entrepreneurship coaching company in the world, and they talk about what he calls the 4 C's, and the number one C is commit. After you commit, then you need to take courage. After you take courage, then you develop the capabilities or the skills. After that, then here comes the confidence, right? And I think so often as entrepreneurs, we look for confidence first, and we're like, oh, I just gotta build myself up. I gotta build myself up, right? But it's that commit, that when you decide, I know I've been dabbling, I know I got one toe in, but I'm gonna jump in, right? I'm gonna go all in every aspect of it, and immerse myself into this. And then again, that consistency, and that is huge. That's one of the reasons why, again, so many entrepreneurs talk about the importance of identity. And you and I talked a little bit about this when we did your pre-interview, but the importance of really knowing yourself, identifying yourself within that, because once you do that, right, you see yourself in it. Now all of a sudden consistency is where, oh, I see myself in teaching or showing up or creating or involving myself. And I love that. So let me recap, because I think it's so good. So number one, vision. Number two, commit. And number three, you said consistency, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And coming from you, like I said, you have a peek inside, right? You can see behind the curtain. What are the common traits that some of these people have success in? And I think it's wonderful. So thank you. Thank you, because I think that, again, more people need to know what that combination is. Now, moving into a big part of what you do in helping provide tools, training, systems, right? What do you see as that advocates have available to them? So again, someone starting brand new, they're like, okay, I got a goal. I want to hit this rank. I want to retire. I want to leave my job. I want to, retire my spouse, that sort of thing. What do you think is the most helpful tools that you guys have currently, or training or systems that everything you can identify? And then at the same time, what do you think is the most underutilized? What do you think is just like, people aren't even like, it's not even on their radar for some reason, and you're screaming it from the rooftop, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think is the most impactful that you're seeing people find success with? But then what do you think is just like lying there and you're like, guys, this is gold right here. This is a diamond. What do you think those are?
Yeah. I think one of the greatest gifts of specifically doTERRA's business model, one of the greatest gifts can be an upline. And I think that any hardship can especially in a relationship with upline, downline, crossline, all the things. I think one of the things that derails it the most is unmet expectations. And I think that the problem I have with expectations is you're expecting someone to know what's inside your head, what you needed, what your thoughts were, and you didn't vocalize.
Yes.
So
Yes.
first thing always, whether it is your immediate upline who enrolled you, whether it is 8 levels up, you have an upline, you have multiple of them. And so if you have clearly communicated, here's what I'm looking for, here's where I'm struggling. I don't know where I'm struggling. Do you have a way to be able to figure out like what it is in my business I'm doing? And you've gone through all the communication channels, which very rarely happens. Someone always is like, oh, I asked my upline, they said they didn't know. And I'm like, and you stop there. You've got like 50 levels to go for. Like keep going, keep searching and connecting. So I think one is always tap into upline, crossline. There's a lot of amazing advocates that even if you're not in their business structure, they will share their resources, they'll share their knowledge, they'll share their wisdom with you. So make sure that you're tapping into the doTERRA community as a whole.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful blessing.
Yes.
Next is I see a lot of people get lost in a lot of systems.
Mm.
And it is this continuing, I want to continue to prepare to be ready. And I'm going to find this perfect system outside. And once I've mastered that, then I'm ready to do my business. And the problem with that is everybody who creates a system, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but they created a system that was what they felt was missing for them. So it's very specific. And so just be willing to say, oh, that great piece of knowledge. Maybe this one resource is great, but realize that every system out there, someone customized what they felt like their journey needed to be, and it might not be perfect for you. And so what we try to do from a corporate standpoint is to make sure that instead of spending a lot of money in addition to or necessary to building your business, is that we want to provide as much as possible. So I would suggest at least starting with the corporate resources. They may not be perfect, meaning they're not perfect for you because we are trying to make it work for so many people.
Right.
But please start there. And then what can you customize from there? If there's additions to it, that's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of money, like going outside and looking outside. So inside of doTERRA, we have training.doterra.com. On there, we have tons of product training courses. Everything that we have on that platform, if you're not a learner or you don't have input high or you don't like to nerd out, you might be like, this is a lot. It is. We want there to be a lot because we have people that are like digging and they need the details.
Yeah.
But go in there and whatever the bandwidth is, if you have a 5-minute attention span, 5 minutes. If you've got a 2-hour attention span, fantastic, dig in. We have an essential oil specialist certification course. We have product certification courses. We have lots of information, and everything that's in there is built for you to take. So if you're like, wow, I love the way this paragraph was written in this handout that came in, great, copy, paste it and make it a post for your social media. Like take anything you want. It's there for you. And then after that, I love, like, again, it's all by learning styles, attention spans, whatever it is. We have podcasts, we have YouTube channels, we have an Instagram specific for science, we have an Instagram specific for like the DIYs, the fun experiences. We have ebooks. There's so much. We have the DMK. And I always tell people, like, whenever we do calls and people are like, I need this, I need that. I'm like, and we have it. You just didn't find it yet. So let me show you where it's at. Yes. So be willing to like dig back in. Like, don't say, well, I had this one experience. I know, give it another chance. Come in. We're constantly reworking. Again, corporate employees who have never been in an advocate shoes, the way they're organizing things is like, what makes sense to me from a corporate standpoint? Well, this is how we generated. So this is how we create. And for an advocate, it might be like, well, it's a little different, but each advocate might have different input of like how it should have been organized. So be willing to dig and just know that we create so much. Like, for example, part of my role is we work with a lot of our international markets in making sure that anything we create in the US market, an international market can look at it and localize it for them.
Oh,
and they've asked for like, can we have a list of what you create every month so that we know what's there that we need to translate or we need to localize, change up some of the products. The spreadsheet would be hundreds of listings long. Like that's how many things go into the DMK every single month. It's too much to create that list for them. So I promise we're trying to make sure it's there. We want you to have the resources. So dig there first. That's free. It is, most of the stuff on there is editable. So if it's not the font that you wanted or not the background image you want, like everything's changeable. So definitely take advantage of what's free and available first, and know that the greatest gift, the greatest like, I'm not sure the word I'm looking for, the greatest um thing that the world is looking from you as an advocate is your personal experience. They
Mhm.
want to know, what did you use this product for, and what was the outcome, more than that was the most beautiful graphic ever and now I would like to use that product too. People don't care. They
Right,
really don't. A lot of people are going to tell you they care. They don't care.
right,
People care. Oh, you used it and that's what happened. I
right.
needed that too. And that's the most important thing. So please don't get lost in the systems. There's so much free stuff there. Just keep showing up as you. Most important piece out of all of this.
Showing up as you, and I love that, right? Is that, and you mentioned a word, and I'm sure we'll get to it again when we talk a little bit more, but you talked about the importance of these self-assessments, right? Really get to know who you are, what drives you, what motivates you. And it's a big reason why I love strength so much. But really, see yourself in it. And I love what you said, your story, right? Your story, your experience, how did it impact you? Because that's what people are going to connect with. That's what they're going to relate to. I was watching your interview that you did with Scott Greer, and talked a lot about that, about the importance of, right, asking good questions, get to know them, what's going on, what are they experiencing on a day to day. And I love that. One thing that you did say that really I really resonated hard with me. You said when I asked you about tools, and you mentioned upline. And one of the things that Eric Worre, Ray Higdon, these are some of the Todd Falcone, some of the top network marketing trainers in the industry. And one of the things they always talk about is, how do they say it? Partnership is the energy to duplication. And I love that, because that is those uplines and your connection to, whether if it's your immediate one or what you have there, that energy that can be created there, because they're there to maybe provide something you don't know, or a little insight or information or experience that can dramatically impact not just your results, but the results of the people you're working with. And so I really love that you mentioned that, the importance of, right, connecting with your upline, because that partnership is massive, massive. This is one of those business models. We don't go it alone, right? We don't need to go it alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And never feel that way. So again, if you're the person who enrolled you isn't able to connect in the way that you were hoping, you still have more uplines. It's not like, well, let me go search over here. It's like, I need to switch teams. It's nothing like that. Like, there are so many levels above that. There's so much available mentorship. You just have to tap into it. And most of the time, you just need to ask. Not that was so missing. Oh, well, they didn't tell me. No, I know they didn't tell you, but you also didn't ask.
Yes.
Please ask.
Ask, right? I
Yes.
love it. I love it. Well, with everything you juggle, everything you're doing, again, as a mom, and the clinic, and how you're showing up for your husband, one of the things that we look at, again, as not just in from a strengths perspective, but I was a corporate trainer, and a big part of my job was to identify what improved retention and what improved engagement. And one of the areas of research that they're doing so much in is this thing called well-being. And what we've been able to identify is that well-being impacts people's productivity. Now, when I say well-being, I mean like your mental, emotional, your physical well-being, because these are the things that keep us in bed maybe a little bit longer. Or when you talk about consistency, right, is that we're like, I don't feel up to it, or I got too much going on in life, or I'm overwhelmed, or I can't think straight. That all of these different things. And so with so much on your plate, I think that with you need such a high output, and I love that we used the word bandwidth earlier. How do how with juggling all this, how do you manage your well-being? How do you take care of yourself to have this kind of output, to stay engaged, not just showing up, right, but engaged in each of your kids, or in your husband, or in the things that you do? And what are some of the habits that you have, or routines that you have, that keep you doing those things and keep you grounded in those things?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the point you were making a little bit a couple of seconds ago, when that was the taking the time to assess. You have to know what fills up your cup and what drains your cup. And there's going to be things that we are all required to do just because they're part of running a business. Like you have to do them, but it doesn't mean that you need to spend time doing things that drain you. So we used this example when we chatted before, but my husband, when you ask him to do anything on social media, my husband who has loads of energy, can exist on 4 to 6 hours of sleep just fine and show up as a wonderful human being, social media, you watch his battery drain instantly. Like it's like 5 minutes of just trying to write a post for him. It's like I just watched his whole world collapse.
Yeah, yeah.
Versus when I get on social media and I hop into my stories and I'm sharing things that are happening in my life and saying, this is what I've learned. I hope this helps you. That recharges my battery. So I think you have to take those times to assess. You need to know what fills you up and what actually drains you. You need to know what is the list of required duties to be able to, like, paying the bills drains my battery really bad. I hate paying, but I can't not pay the bills. Like it's a requirement. Can I become more efficient in it? Can I make sure that there's like one day a month that we're focused? Yeah, fantastic. But it does have to get done. But you need to know that those moments that fill you up, how can you fill your time with more of those, but also assessing what is, are they doing the good that you want? So again, I need to know my children so well. I have 9 of them. They require a certain amount of time and interaction from me, but I also need to know what means the most to them. So I have kids that, for example, my one son, Corey, if he and I sit on the couch together and hold hands, or I scratch his back, that's an instant cup filler for him. It doesn't take hours. It doesn't take hours of connection with him. He just, mom held my hand, mom scratched my back. Even as a 13-year-old boy, like that for him is like, okay, I feel loved. You watch him. He's like, okay, now I'm going to skate park. Like he got it filled up. He got the attention he needed. Fantastic. Versus I have another child that, like, when she does her artwork, if I pay her compliments, that is it. For her, like that lights up her world. So you need to know what fills up your cup, but then the people that mean the most to you, you need to know their love language. You need to know what matters most to them, so that the time that you do have to allot to that relationship is the most impactful. I know for my husband, it is words of affirmation. So as long as I'm telling him how much I love him and how proud I am, like, okay, great. Even if that day where, like, the first time we actually got to, like, have a hug was the minute we climbed in bed. It's okay, because all day long is like, you're doing great, love you so much, and we're running on to the next thing, right? So know that, assess what the needs are, and then there are times in life, especially as a parent, as a business partner, in your job, that things are going to be out of balance. I would say that most of life is trying to find balance and never actually achieving it, because there are going to be things that need more attention at times than others. And so it's just that juggle. Mm-hmm. And so knowing, also assessing the situations that you're in. I have a child getting married this week. That child will get more of my attention than my other. It's not, I love that child more. It's just, that's the need this week, right? So you have to be able to assess the situation. And if you just take those moments, it's going to save you so much time and so much heartache of like, but I thought I was giving you all this attention. It was not the attention that they needed from you in that moment. It's not what your business partner was looking for. They didn't want to lecture. They didn't want you to send them a link to somebody else explaining how to do an enrollment. They wanted you to get on the phone and be like, let me tell you how this goes. Like, you need to know what the needs are so that you can meet those, and then always know where your needs need to be met as well. I know for me, like, there's a million things I could do. I have to make sure that I'm hydrated. I have to make sure that I have my nutrition needs met. But my biggest recharge is sitting on the couch with my kids, watching a movie, and hands on all of them. Like, if I can just mom arm stretch leg, somebody's sitting down by my knee. Like, if I can have hands-on contact, like, that's an instant recharge for me. So John will watch me. I'll walk through the door coming home from work. If it's a hard day, he'll be like, mom's in the mood for Harry Potter. Everybody on the couch. Let's go. Like, he knows what fills me back up, because he's like, and it was empty. And now we can refill it really quick with a round of Harry Potter with the kids. So
love it.
Yeah. Just know what fills your cup up. And then as you're pouring into other people, know how you can have the highest impact in a shorter period of time, because that's what most of us have.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. I love it. Well, on a relatable note, my wife had a round of Harry Potter on Sunday as well. She loves it. So yeah, we do the pot. It's fun. Anyways, but I love that. That's super good. Again, going back to the self-assessment, if we don't know what's filling our cup, or what we need, right? Being able to communicate that to someone else is dang near impossible. And then with other people,
Yep.
if we don't ask good questions and we don't get engaged and we don't, identify them, their identity, their strengths, those types of things, not asking love languages. And there's, and I see this all the time where, we're struggling in areas, and a lot of the time, and thank goodness for your input, right? We just don't have the data. We don't have the information. And obviously
Yeah.
that's something that serves you really well, is you're able to gather enough information on the people around you to support, what you need. And I think that's incredible too. Again, going back to the self-assessment, know yourself,
Yeah.
and begin the process of knowing people around you. Now, being involved in, again, doTERRA, and you see all these different things, what do you think that maybe is an oil or a practice or a supplement or something that's so underutilized, that you really think, from what you see, because you probably see, going back to consistency that you mentioned, consistency often isn't because they don't have goals or vision or dreams, but in again, from a corporate perspective, what we saw is often it actually was interlinked with their well-being. It's not that they didn't believe in what they did or didn't have vision or didn't want to make money, but a lot of the times they didn't get the emotional, mental, or physical support that they need to expand their bandwidth. So you being, and you seeing what you see, and you being on the inside, what do you think is the most underutilized oil product, process with the oils, that you think would dramatically impact people's well-being to improve their consistency?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's one individual thing, but we'll say it's one practice. The reason that doTERRA has doubled down on foundational wellness is because every single second you have 37 billion trillion cellular reactions. To
Mm,
have a cellular reaction, you have to have an enzyme and you have to have a cofactor. And a cofactor means a vitamin or mineral. So
right.
37 billion trillion cellular reactions that require a vitamin or mineral. That
Mm,
means for your brain to work right, your heart to work right, your liver to work right, your kidneys, cells, or skin cells, everything requires vitamins and minerals. So the reason that we focus so hard on foundational wellness, whether it's LLV, whether it's VMG, is because we're trying to induce healthy cellular reactions, healthy cellular function,
mm,
and that requires vitamins and minerals.
mm.
Then on the outside of all of your cells, we have a beautiful cell membrane that is kind of the protection for the cell, but it also controls the inflow and outflow. So
Yeah.
good nutrients coming in, waste product going out. If you do not have enough omegas in your cellular membrane, those cellular reactions don't matter as much
Mm.
because the production of waste in the cell, the waste can't get out. And so if you're trying to do this really great thing while waste product is building up inside the cell, and the hormones that are supposed to be inducing different reactions out of the cells, they can't get into the cells. So we need good omegas. And then out of all of that, when we put the good food in, if we don't have a good healthy microbiome, as all those good vitamins or minerals are coming in, they can't be converted to usable forms. They cannot be digested. They cannot be new vitamins and minerals, essential fatty acids cannot be produced. And so we need the good things coming in. We need them to go into a good environment, which is why we need good PB restore. And then in addition to that, as it gets to the cell membrane needs to have fluidity, and that requires omegas. So
Yeah.
out of everything, like I use oils every day. I think we have a large family, but I am definitely oil centric. So I probably go through like 5 to 8 bottles of oil a week. Like I'm always throwing away empties. We just go through so much. I mean, my kids go to bed and it's like I have like it looks like I'm a Catholic because I'm just like christening the beds and christening my kids. Oils everywhere, right? It's just I don't have time to fill up the diffuser, so I'm flicking them on your bed. You're going to smell these as you sleep, and you're going to sleep good. So like, yes, oils everywhere. I just love them. So I love what oils can do, and they are such good cell communicators.
Yes.
But if you're like, just picture yourself, you haven't had anything to drink all day, you haven't had anything to eat all day, and you're just sitting there, and someone's like, it'd be really good for you. We need to get in those 15,000 steps. You're gonna be like, huh? What? I'm dehydrated and I have no energy. That's what your cells are doing all day. When you're not giving enough fluid in there, we're not getting our omegas in there, not getting your vitamins and minerals. And you're like, we're going to be productive in our business. And we're going to be an awesome mom. And we're going to do this and that. And your body's going, no, you're not. No,
Yeah.
you're not. We're on empty. So I definitely think that's where we start. And then oils amplify everything. They amplify the ability to be able to handle more, to be able to give you more energy, to be able to, promote the wellness that you're looking for. But do you want to amplify dehydration? Like, do you want to amplify the bad state we're in, or do you want to like get yourself so prepped that you're like,
Yeah.
well, I was on board. Now I'm like next level. I'm superhuman here. Let's do it.
Yes. I love it. I love it. And I learned that early on from Laura Jacobs when she talked about the oils do more with what they have to work with, right? And so the better the nutrition, the better hydration, foundational wellness, great supplementation, all of that stuff, the better the better that is, right? The more impactful whatever oil you're trying to throw on top of it is going to do. And I
Absolutely.
think that's awesome. That was a big shift for me to learn. I was like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
and I think it's important for all advocate and anybody who's that doesn't matter which business model that you're in. If you're out there promoting wellness, the body is just capable of doing with the tools that it's being given. And so no matter what you're at, no matter what you're promoting, no matter what you're helping people with, being able to give the body what it's having its needs met means that more good is going to be able to come from it. So always focus on the needs before we're like demanding more. I love it was actually Justin Harrison one time. He said, you go anywhere in our country and you realize that we have an energy problem, an energy deficit. And he's
mhm.
like, it's not oil or electric. It's people don't have energy. You go into the gas station, all the energy drinks. You go in the grocery store, all the energy drinks, and all they're doing is telling the body to ignore how tired they are.
Yeah.
That's it. They're not actually giving you energy. They're just like, oh yeah, don't pay attention to the fact that you had 2 hours of sleep last night.
Shut down that cell
Yeah.
receptor, right?
Yeah. So, being able to do this, being able to like really help the body in the way that it works, and then having an even better experience, like people with oils, like, wait a minute, you didn't have the same experience with lavender that I just had. Why not? Well, their body might be a little more depleted than yours or a little more toxic than yours. And so we need to get everybody on the same playing field to have the same experiences.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love everything you're sharing. And and I talked about this in when we did our pre-interview, when we got to the point where I was like, "Ooh, what are your strengths?" Because I can, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if you have this or this input or learner, by." And it turns out you had input in number one. And listening to you talk about all these different things, for myself, I have it in my 20s, right? So gathering data, I have a shallower cup, we'll say, for that. But I love how capable you are of bringing so much in, because as you bring in, you're also able to really put out so much, right? When your tank is full, or when you're aware, when you've done that self-awareness. So in knowing your strengths and obviously in how they're influencing you, how do you think your strengths have not just influenced obviously what you do on a day-to-day basis, but how do they actually help you grow into the person you're trying to be, whether if it's, on a personal level or in business? How do you think that those are making an impact?
Oh, so we're all human
Mhm.
and none of us are perfect.
Right.
And I think having a knowledge of what my strengths are also allows me to see what could be considered a downside to certain things. So we talked about I have adaptability really high.
Mhm.
For me, I have positivity really low, but for me having adaptability so high, I'm willing to like move through situations really fast, and I don't get stuck in like, well, why would he do that? Why would anybody make a graphic that looks like that? Why would anybody make that decision? Why would they let this product go out of stock? Like, I don't get stuck there. I'm like, that's out of stock, no problem. We're going to tell everybody about how they can use this and get a very similar outcome. It's totally fine. It's not positivity, it's adaptability, right?
Yeah.
But also, if somebody gives me new information, I'm like, great idea. I'm switching lanes. And everybody's saying, no switching lanes. Come back here. And I'm like, why not? We could have switched lanes. That was great new information. So I being able to have that awareness that I am predisposed to acting quickly with my activator, and that I can do it very fluidly with my adaptability allows me to build trust with people who know me well. So we talked about this earlier. I report into Jared Auger. That's my boss.
Mhm.
And so he's learned very quickly that I have adaptability and I have activator high. And so he'll watch me in meetings as we're all hashing things out. And he knows to keep an eye on me. And he's like, and Lauren, we're not doing anything yet. Just stay here. I'm like, oh, okay. Like he just watched me pull out my computer and he knows. I'm like, is that what we're doing? Fantastic. Let me get it done before the meeting's even ready. And he's just like, nope, not yet. We're still hashing it out. So I think it's been really empowering to have the people in my life know what my strengths are and to know when to call on them, but also to know and be like, that's not the strength we need you to use right now. Stay in and put activator, put on pause for at the moment, and then we'll get into it at the right time. I think that's become a massive appreciation for me. And then same thing for other people. I have learned to love more deeply because I can appreciate what someone's strengths are versus getting frustrated because they don't match my own. And like I was having this chat with Laura Siegmiller. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she does so much at doTERRA. She's just brilliant. But she and I were talking, and we were talking about how in meetings at times people are like, well, what about this idea? And she'll just be like, nope, 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 nope. And it looks like she's being short. But the reality is the way that her brain works, she's already worked through everything all the options they just thrown. And she's like, I can either waste time explaining to you why that's not going to work, or we can keep going and like find the right answer. Right. And for a lot of people, that's frustrating. Like, why did you just let me know? I just had this really great idea. And she's like, we're getting it done. We're going to find the right answer. That was just not it. Right. And so I think when we can have that appreciation for other people, instead of feeling unseen, feeling frustrated, knowing their strengths, knowing your own strengths, you're like, they're in their zone of genius right now. They're handling it different than I would have preferred to handle it, but they're handling it and I'm going to trust. I think that's one of the most powerful things that you can do for a team dynamic, for a corporate dynamic, for entrepreneurship dynamic, because you have a lot of people that you got to interact with as you own your own business, and family dynamic as well, is learning that. And that's part of knowing yourself, right? What is the strength they're pulling from? And you can also recognize when someone's not living in their strengths, when someone's trying to do something, you're like, there are so many great things you have to offer. Why are you trying to stay in the past right now? That's not one of your strengths. Let's move into what you're actually good at, and then it helps you kind of manage teams a lot better. So I love strengths.
I love it. I can tell. And I absolutely love it because obviously, I love them too. And you can see how, in what you're bringing up in not just your strengths and being aware of yourself. And again, it goes back to the self-awareness. I love that you said that. Because I think so often people aren't invested in their own self-awareness. They try to model or mimic, maybe other people's behavior, or like what you said about systems. They're fulfilling a need that they have. And so that's why they created the system in the first place, because it was a missing tool. But for someone else, right, that may necessarily not be the case. And so you want to be more clear in identifying, what do you need? What are your strengths? What are some of the things that you struggle with so you can move forward? I watched this interview that Jim Clifton, who's currently the CEO of Gallup, he interviewed Simon Sinek. And one of the questions, as he's talking to Simon Sinek about how strengths and your why interconnect, and he said that your why is kind of this dream house that you're building, but your strengths is how you go about building it. And one of the things that he said, that when he really surrounded himself with people that he acknowledged, hey, this is my strength, this is what I do, but these are their strengths, and really trusted in them, right? To bounce off them, play off them, to support them, that all of a sudden things really grew for him. And I love that when you're talking about, in your meetings and environments, probably even with your husband, you can identify, or even with your kids, right? The holding a hand versus congratulating them on their artwork. What a great observation of identifying the needs of different people around you. And then when we support them and we encourage them, everyone in that organization or that environment can flourish. And I think that from a strengths perspective, is probably one of the greatest opportunities of strengths, where people miss because they don't create those environments of, hey, I see you and I support you, or I see you and I support you, right? And so I love that you've made such a great case. I don't know how to say it any better, but you've made such a great case for that in every story you just shared. I think that's amazing.
I mean, even like when who to ask for to do something, like when you go look at your upline or downline, there's certain assignments or requests that you're going to be like, this is the person I should go to for this. Like, for example, we have a friend that positivity and woo, they're the top two. I don't remember in which order. That is not the friend that I'm going to go to and be like, I need some like really honest feedback. Like something here is not working and I need to figure out what it is. No,
Yeah.
no, it's great. It's all great. I mean, I'm telling you, I know for sure it's not working. And I need someone to analyze this with me and figure out why it's not working. That is not the
Yes.
person I'm going to go to for that. Versus if I'm having a bad day, I'm like, pick up the phone. You need to call him right now. You need to be cheered up and they will find a way to do it. I know it.
Yes, so true. You're looking for your restorative friend out there. You're like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, right?
yeah, yeah, yes.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, so great, Lauren. Okay, so as we're bringing this together, as we're wrapping this up, one of the things that I always get, again, we talked about some, what would people need in terms of if they were brand new, and they were just starting. With all the great things that we've talked about, you mentioned vision, you mentioned, commit. You mentioned the importance of being consistent, connecting with your upline. And let's say someone they're like, okay, I'm joining doTERRA today. What would you think the number one thing that you would see that someone needs to focus on right from the get-go? They join today. What do they got to do to be successful in this business?
Start using the product.
Mm-hmm.
100%. 100%. This business, again, it's deeply personal and it needs to be done authentically. And so you need to start having your own personal experiences. You start using them on your kids, your spouse. I mean, again, if you have a rebellious spouse and they're like, I don't want to use oils, that you can, I then do the Catholic method. We're going to just flick it across the room. Like something's going to happen. I'm just kidding. You can diffuse and watch the environment in your home change. You have to have personal experience that trumps everything else. It is the most authentic, most important thing that you can possibly do because you will be able to speak with conviction. And
Mm-hmm.
once you have your own personal experience, it's going to help you generate that vision because you're going to be able to like, oh, now I know what's possible. So let me dream bigger. How many people can I help? How many people can I connect with? And then second to that, while you're having your personal experiences in your home with your family, with yourself, etc., friends. I mean, one of my favorite things to tell people to do is the minute you start using, you're going to have people come to mind. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not about the list per se. It's more about like, I need to see if this helps these people so that I have more stories to share. Like that's going to build your own vision internally. That was when as a mom, like I had a kid that we had some very intense needs. And all of a sudden I brought oils in my home as a nurse. I was like, wait, oils can do this? Like we've tried everything else. Didn't touch it. We're like living in the hospital and I'm able to do this. Like,
Wow.
wow, how many of my friends have kids in similar situations, like where they're like, I'm trying to keep my kid alive. I'm trying to find some peace and calm. My kid doesn't sleep. Like, what can I do to help as many moms? And that was it. I just started like it wasn't even about enrolling. It was about just getting oils in their hands. And like, did that work for your daughter? It worked for your daughter too. Oh my gosh. That was amazing. Okay, now I need to so and so. And I just started collecting these experiences and I was like, I'm all in. It doesn't matter. Anything else didn't matter at that moment when I was able to see that so many of my friends that had children in need that had very similar experiences to my own. That was like that painted it. And then after that, then you need to understand the company's vision because again, there will always be things that come up, things that are disruptive, that are hard. There will be stock outs. There will be a product that you're like, this is the most important product in my entire life. And it gets discontinued. And you need to know what doTERRA's vision is. So when those moments come up, it's not doTERRA's doing it wrong. It's like they must have had a really good reason for that to happen. And what inspiration do I need to find adaptability? Even if it's in my bottom strengths, I'm going to find some way to put it to use right this moment so that I can stay on track with this vision that I held so dear because of all of these experiences I had. I'm going to find a way to make it work. And I think that's important. I think those are the two most important because everything else that could distract you will not be able to get in if you have those two. I know what my experiences were. No one can take those away from me. I know who doTERRA is. No one can take that away from me. So everything else that comes up, everything that comes on the attack, everything that's hard, people, naysayers, all the things, it doesn't even come into my ecosphere because I know what the experience is and I know who doTERRA is. And I'll find a way to make it work beyond that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. So, you mentioned a couple different things. And number one, you talked about, the strengths and what you have. And I think that this is one of the biggest misconception is that people think you need, right, adaptability, or you need activator, or you need this thing or woo or positivity in order to accomplish something. And what a huge misconception, right? Of
Yep.
really what we're identifying is what drives and the characteristics and the things that intrigue, right? That particular person. And so I love that in knowing that about ourselves and knowing that about others, that anyone can succeed. Now, with that being said, you mentioned, doTERRA's vision. I would love to hear from someone who is right in the thralls of it, in the mix of it. What is probably the most exciting thing that you feel like when you talk about doTERRA's vision and their future, where they're going, and why today? Why should someone today decide, you know what? So I'm going to switch into my activator, wherever that is, right? Or I'm going to be adaptable and adjust, or whatever it is. What is the most exciting thing that you're excited about? That you see that people should really today make a decision and say, you know what? I'm ready to jump on board. I'm ready to rise. I want to lead. I want to take action because this, right? What would you say that is? If there's anything that you could share that you feel really you can see, right? What would that be for people to be like, you know what? Now's the time. Now's the time for me to jump on board and choose back in.
I think that it is the fact that doTERRA doesn't get lost in trends. They stay grounded in wellness principles. Oils will never go out of style. And you're going to hear people say that they are. Oh, everybody knows because everybody offers them. I can promise you, working a corporate position, watching the testing that's going on, interacting with the people that we have internally, the kind of information that we get as we test other oils, and it's shocking and scary. It's
Sure.
just scary what people market as essential oils, and they're not really oils at all. And to know that doTERRA isn't willing to get distracted for the dollar. It would be really easy to hop on every single trend and be like, watch us grow because we're on trend, we're on trend.
Right,
But they're
right,
not
right.
grounded in principles, and the trends come and go. And
Yes,
I
yes.
want stability. I want stability in my business. I want stability in my income. I want stability as a job. I want stability. Like, we're all looking for, if you go with a company that's always just going with the trends, and again, trends come and go, your business is going to come and go. And
Right.
I think it is the eternal commitment to do things the right way and to stick with principles. I think that that is, what could you want more out of a business partner? Someone who's not going to be like, well, this is the fad, so here's where I'm going to go. I mean, like, I don't want that in my marriage. Well, the thing is, we all like 20-year-old women. That would be a really bad marriage, right? Like, I want
Yes.
someone who's stuck with principles and knows like this is the right way to do things, and I'm not willing to waver for a dollar. Like, that's not it. So knowing who you're partnering with, trends are flashy, they can be a fun wild ride, only so many fun wild rides built into any body, and you're gonna be like, wow, I am so tired of the ups and downs. I
That's being
need
wild. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it'll be wild, it really will. I just think that eternal commitment to do things the right way and not chase the dollar, but to do things principle based, that our bodies didn't start working differently. Our
Yeah.
bodies still work the exact same way from the time they were created. So why would we all of a sudden think, well, the fads in wellness are the things we need to chase? Like,
Yeah.
no, your body still needs the same things. It needs the vitamins, it needs the minerals, it needs the omegas, it needs the healthy microbiome, and it needs these really clear communications coming in, not disrupted, not synthetic, not altered communications, clean, pure communication to our cells. And the rest is going to happen. And who else would you want to partner but then someone who is as committed to that?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Lauren, thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been phenomenal. This has been wonderful. So, one last question: is there
Yep.
anything else that you would want that you want to share after our conversation of really helping people, see the again, getting started, the importance of that vision, the important. I'm going to go back to that, right? The importance of the vision, the importance of commitment, the importance of consistency, being involved, making sure that you're, utilizing the product, create your own stories, create your own experiences. The thing that can't be people can't take away: self-awareness, know yourself, right? Know the people around you. what would you give as just one last little nugget, one last little thing to, to people watching that they could take away and be like, you know what Lauren Busch said? What would that be?
I would say that your business outcome is only as big as your original commitment.
Ooh.
Um, there's going to be things that are required to achieve success. There really are. And one of them is investing in your own personal health and experience, but then also those times to learn and grow. I think moments like leadership and convention, they have to end up becoming a non-negotiable
Right.
because and I as a mom, I mean, goodness gracious, I have stayed in people's living room couches to be able to make it to convention. There was too many of us piled in a car. It was probably not legal. Like whatever it did to like, how can I make this time away from my kids as affordable as possible? I have to be there in person.
Mm.
And the outcome that came from me willing to make sacrifices to for my commitment to making this work, they pay 100-fold. So
Yeah.
if you're ever questioning, like, well, I am committed, but how committed were you? Were you willing to make the sacrifices of time, of like, I miss some birthdays, right? There are times like coming up to convention, my family knows that the amount of things that we need to create for the advocates that come in, our families don't see us as much. Summer is a season of chaos, but my commitment to the advocates during this season is very high on the list.
Mm.
But you also have to have the same commitment. It's not like, well, it's not, I'll play it at home. I promise you, when we play it at home, there's 8 million distractions. Oh, I caught like 5 minutes of this one. But then my kids knew I was there. So they asked me if I could make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And my husband's like, oh, you didn't run to the grocery store. And I left because I wasn't at convention. I was at home trying to watch it on my couch. And I know what cram extra people in the hotel room, share the hotel room, find some way to like run to the grocery store and like make the food in your hotel room. If that's where the budget is, it
Yeah.
will require a certain level of the amount of commitment is what's kind of going to measure that outcome. If it's a mild commitment, it'll be a mild outcome in your business. It's just,
Oh,
it is a math equation.
I love it. I love it. Mild commitment equals a mild, yeah, outcome. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time with me. Thank you so much. I know people are going to find so much value from this. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your perspective. These are things that obviously myself, but even so many people, there's probably some other relationships that are maybe have more information to certain things. But I'll tell you what, the average person, right? Your elites out there, your premiers, your silvers, the people that are, in the field trying to do different things, hearing this kind of stuff, I'll be honest with you, it fills my heart, right? It fills my heart to think, oh wow, Lauren's out there, she's fighting the good fight, right? She's been here, she's in there trying to create things, great things, clear communication. And so thank you for sharing, thank you for being vulnerable, thank you for, I get it, this hour that you spent with me could have been spending, time with your kids and your daughter's wedding. So thank you. I honor it. I honor your time. And thank you so much. It means the world to, I know, me and anyone that's going to watch this in the future.
No, beautiful blessing being able to spend this time with you. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And I want to thank everybody for joining with me today. Thank you so much. Please continue to share out this, comment on these interviews. Let's take a look at what are maybe some other interviews that you like me to do. Give me some names, give me some different people, because reaching out, connecting, again, this is my woo, right? This is my communication, my positivity coming out, having fun. So thank you again from all of us here. Thank you so much. Please continue to do what you do. Get out there, change the world, inspire people, provide hope, and share great things, great tools, great information so people can see and make the changes that they need to in their life. Have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
See you.